Welcome back to the Labor Law Talk Show with Taum Rewa. Today we're going to talk about why labor law was introduced in the first place. In the last two episodes, we spoke about the history of our law. It was just a brief history of our labor law. I'm sure you'd agree with me that the employment relationship, which constitutes an employer or a group of employers and employees or a group of employees, is in an equal relationship. So labor law realized that if that relationship is not governed, there's bound to be slavery conditions in the employment setup. So labor law was introduced simply to balance the unequal bargaining power between employers and employees. So to do this, labor law has set standards for each and every aspect of the employment relationship, be it the minimum wage that is payable to an employee, be it the working conditions like the hours of work, aspects of safety. These are standards that no employer will ever negotiate with an employee at the point of coming up with the employment relationship. So there was a need to balance the unequal bargaining power between the employer and the employees. So to do this effectively, if you are to go through your Labor Act, you are going to see that it does two simple things. It tells you what you're supposed to do as the employer or the employee. Then it tells you the consequences of not doing what is stipulated within each and every provision. I'll give, for example, the issue of collective job action, issues of strikes, picketing. If you're an employer and engage in those things unlawfully, or if you're an employee and you don't follow the procedure for striking, as an example, you are bound to face certain consequences that are attached to those unlawful acts in terms of the law. So, as an example, there's a criminal sanction that can come with that. You can actually be arrested. You can actually be imprisoned. You may be forced to pay a fine. That's a sanction that can accrue to both the employer and the employee in the case of an unlawful collective job action. So the same goes when it's a case of sexual harassment. It doesn't matter whether you're the employee or you're the employer. You may face a criminal sanction simply because of sexual harassment. Besides imprisonment, besides payment of a fine, there are other penalties that come with violating labor laws, like you may be required to pay damages. You may be required to reinstate an employee in the case of unfair dismissal. These measures were put in place to balance the unequal bargaining power between the employer and the employee. The law has learned from history. It has learned from colonization, as an example, that if the employment setup is not regulated, employees can be subjected to conditions that are akin to modern day slavery. So as you go through your labor law, whatever you have to do in the workplace, simply know that everything is regulated. There are so many things in our Labor Act. There are so many standards. We're going to be talking about them in our show. In our next show, we are going to talk about the issue of maternity leave. It's a topical issue. It affects everyone, whether you're male or female. There are so many things that were introduced in 2023, and it's pertinent, it's critical that we have such a conversation. Thank you so much. Please subscribe. Please follow us. Send us comments so that we can continue to have these fruitful discussions. Thank you.